go to the gym.
Hi, and welcome to SB Nation's 2017 NHL Season Preview Live, presented by Xfinity Mobile. I am here with
Travis Hughes. I do hockey things at SB Nation.
I'm Elena Bergeron. I am editor-in-chief of the entirety of SB Nation, which makes me a little bit like a hockey president today. I feel a little bit Gary Bettman, which is dope. You know, I don't get that a lot of days. You know, yeah, like draft day Gary Bettman, not like the rest of the year Gary Bettman.
Well, we have some folks that can heckle you.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And that is what they're here for. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Watched about 5 NHL games last season. They were great. But I rely on a lot of people to keep me informed about the NHL, and now you can too. Travis, you want to let everybody know who the experts are?
Yes, I do. We have Satchel Price from Second City Hockey, our Chicago Blackhawks expert. We have Caitlin Dividock from Pennsburg, who has never watched a Stanley Cup Finals game in her life.
Never.
We have Ryan Quigley from Knights on Ice. He is our resident Las Vegas Golden Knights expert. And we also have Mary Clark from SB Nation NHL and Steph Driver from Broad Street Hockey.
I want to ask one question to lead off everything, though. How can there be a Golden Knights expert? Like, what does that mean?
He watched, well, it's a question for Ryan, but my theory is that he watched the expansion draft, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
literally all it takes. All I have to know is that there's a team in Las Vegas, and that's basically the entire story. So
Yeah,
I am. I'm an expert.
I walked into the NHL store once, and I saw glitter, and I was like, oh, that's coming. All right.
Those glitter jerseys are nice.
Right there.
To get everybody else in the watching audience caught up on what's going on in the NHL world and what maybe might potentially happen this season, we're going to clue everybody in on a little bit of a game. We're playing a game show today for basically your hockey heart. No other stakes. There's no prizes.
No
we just
points.
want to talk about hockey. I'm sorry. Hi. And so we're going to get going with round one. But the goal here is that we will have our panel of experts pick a topic. Everybody will hold up their dry erase board, and we're just going to talk about fancy NHL things that will hopefully get us to a happy place as the season is about to start. So, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, Mary, how about you go first? You can pick the first category.
Oh, that's really tough, Travis.
I wish we had a wheel, but
Yeah, like a little, that would be funny. That'd be great. A lot of fun. Let's go baseball towns.
whoop.
Baseball towns, all right.
Skirt. And what do we mean by this? Because this is the NHL.
We'll find out,
hockey
won't
preview.
we?
Oh, I get it. So the question for baseball town fandoms, will the Blackhawks make the playoffs this year? Hockey, notably, just not at all important to that city
No,
at
not at
all.
all. Not
So
at all.
experts, what do you think? Blackhawks, what's going to happen there? Travis, do you have a precursor to what they might turn around?
I do not. I remember a time about a decade ago when the AHL team in Chicago was a little more popular than the NHL team.
That was a real long time ago because
Yeah.
I watch 5 games a year. They won something recently, right?
I can't recall that.
Okay. Blocked it out.
It's possible.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Panel.
We are.
Y'all got it?
All right, let's flip them.
Boom.
Okay. I like no consistent answer here, which is good, and a lot of y'all hedged, but I want to go with the people that didn't hedge first because who doesn't love a hot take? In the back, nah.
Just the Blackhawks, they've been better.
Yep.
They just last season, especially in the playoffs, they just dropped off of the face of the earth. It seemed like, what was the stat? They had 3 goals in the entire playoff round. So I just no.
No, you just don't buy it. Heck yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I think they're going to, you bet against Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, and Joel Quenneville at your own risk, I feel like. And they've overhauled a lot of the roster, which is what leads to a lot of uncertainty, which is, I think, why a lot of analysts are picking them to miss the playoffs, and that kind of has grown as a movement of. But they're really top-heavy with really good talent up top.
Let's get into who they lost.
This will take a while.
I know that they. I think you have the list off the top of your head. We were talking about this before.
Artemi Panarin, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Brian Campbell, Marcus Kruger, Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
That is a bad.
Does
that's
that
a
give him
list.
the depth to make it through an entire NHL season and into the playoffs? Because obviously, with the weapons up top that you named, you're right. Like, those are some serious scorers in that bunch. But that does not make you a playoff team, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I think it leads to more volatility, but this preseason's been really encouraging. Nick Schmaltz looks fantastic as the #2 center. Alex DeBrincat looks like he's making a push to be the #2 left winger, which he's like 5'7", but he's amazing. And so he's looking like it looks like they have a really good top 9. I don't really know what their fourth line is necessarily going to look like, and their defense is basically chaos behind Keith. But, Corey Crawford's a great goalie, in my opinion.
Ryan, you have a skeptical look on your face.
I think he's overrated. I think he's always had a little bit of a benefit with a good blue line in front of him. It'll be interesting to see what he does this year when his blue line isn't necessarily as good. But I mean, he's always had the luxury of having a good backup goalie there as well. And we have a new guy coming in to back him up in Chicago this year as well. And I just don't know if, he's young. I don't know if he's gonna, be able to step up the way that Scott Darling did when he was needed. So there's gonna be a lot of weight on his shoulders, and will he be able to handle it? I don't know. I'm skeptical. So.
Stephanie, you seem to agree.
Well, my answer is no thank you. I
Return to sender.
I do not want the Chicago Blackhawks in the postseason. Just because I don't like them. I just don't want it.
Fair. That's what makes SB Nation is opinions like that.
And Mary, you seem to think that just barely they'll make it.
Yeah, I think the Central got better and the Blackhawks got not worse, but they stayed the same. Yeah. So I think that they'll get pushed down a little bit. So that's why I said just barely, because I think that their competition has risen while they've stayed the same. So they'll get in because it's hard to bet against Kane, Taves, and Joe Quenneville. But I think it's just,
hard.
I mean, they have the rings. They have the rings to prove it.
That's
so.
my thing. I feel like they're going to make it, but I'm not going to bet against Kane or Taves or Keith or any of these guys just because they're so elite and they have that talent. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they did lose a lot of pieces.
Yeah,
and
a lot of pieces.
Yeah. It's going to be really weird to see how it goes. I'm going to follow them pretty closely.
They're not getting the Blackhawks discount anymore on contracts. So.
No, they're not.
That's true. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Shall we move on? All right.
Who's got the next one?
Satchel, since your team might not make the playoffs, you can pick next.
Ornithology.
Ornithology. Hey, where are we at here?
Such a fun word.
It is fun.
Oh, God. All right.
I thought we got jazz here. Was that jazz album? Ornithology? Sorry, go ahead.
Can the Penguins three-peat?
Audible scoffs.
From the Broad Street Hockey.
I mean,
From the Flyers
for the love
contender.
of God, I personally hope not, because I'm just in NHL fandom for the funsies, and I really strongly have always believed in Alexander Ovechkin. I once broke up with a guy because I found out that he was an actual real live Sid the Kid fan, and I was like, that's a philosophical, just different.
Yes, like to our core, right?
You don't believe in magic. That's what that means to me. So it can't survive.
For this entire segment.
All right, well, we can start with, flip your boards.
Okay.
Let's start with stuff.
I would rather die than watch the Penguins three-peat. There is nothing, no hockey instance, there's no situation that would be worse than the team from Pittsburgh winning another Stanley Cup.
She's right.
There's nothing worse. That's it.
Right.
Tend to agree strongly.
I think that they're the Penguins of the NHL, and that is not a compliment at all. But Kate,
The Patriots
you
of
also
the
might have
NHL?
different opinions.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Penguins are really good. And they're gonna probably three-peat. I mean, there's, maybe not probably, but there's a very, very high chance that they will be able to. I mean, if you look at the Metro, you look at the Washington Capitals, who were super, super good last year. The depth was unbelievable, the talent was unbelievable, and they couldn't beat the Penguins. So now that they lost a ton of people in the offseason, they had to thin out their roster because of salary cap issues and whatnot. There really isn't anybody in the Metro that could really push them to maybe win. Maybe a Columbus, but still, in that division, they'll probably end up winning it. And then when it comes to the West, I mean, everyone's, jumping on the Connor McDavid bandwagon because, of course, he's an incredible player. And yes, he is making his way to be, one of the top, or not one of, probably the top hockey player in the NHL, other than, of course, Sidney Crosby. But I just don't, I don't see any teams just having the depth to take them, down. I just don't see it.
I'm going to ask the dumb sports writer question because, sometimes you got to do that. When people three-peat, is that bad for the league? Is it too much like, hey, this is an expected answer, that's not enough variance? I think, in terms of fans and newcomers to the game, people are like, the Preds.
I would say no. Just because, I mean, now that we're in the salary, my extreme love for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think because it's the salary cap era, it's a lot harder to not only win back-to-back, but then three-peat. And the last time we've had a three-peat was back in the 70s, I think it was, something along those lines. And that was when the salary cap just wasn't a thing. So to have them actually do a three-peat and do it in an era where there's a lot of hardships because of money, I think it's an incredible feat. I think it would be great for the league. I know a lot of people would disagree, but just to see that sort of competitive nature by one team that just is so dominant, it's...
Well, can someone just refresh my memory? For the Eastern Conference Finals, how many games did they go to?
And it was 7.
And what team were they playing against?
They were playing against Eric Carlson.
Eric Carlson and the AHL Senators. You're saying that there's no team in the East that can beat them. The Ottawa Senators took them to 7 games.
Yes.
Okay.
7 games, the Ottawa Senators.
That's fair, but you have to consider who we lost at the defenseman position.
No, I don't.
You have to.
The Ottawa Senators took the Pittsburgh Penguins to 7 games.
I think it's interesting because you can count the Penguins out like that. I did count the Penguins out last year. I was like, their defense is gone. They have no shot. But Sidney Crosby, love him or hate him, you know he's a great player. He's one of the great hockey players of this era. So
sure,
it's hard to count that out. Well. It's hard to say that the Penguins will lose because they have somebody of that type of talent there. So I think that their depth last year was really helpful too. I mean, their defensive depth wasn't that good, but their offensive depth made up for it in spades.
You mentioned the depth. We lost a ton of people, offensively, especially in the forward category. And it's just knowing that there really isn't a good bottom 6. There's decent wingers, of course. The defensemen, they're all right. But when it comes to, and of course, take a shot for every single time you've heard who's going to be the Penguins' third-line center, those are still question marks on the roster. And, people don't know people like Carter Rowney. Carter Rowney isn't a guy that any other person that isn't a Pens fan would know. And even the fourth
or
center,
North Dakota fan.
That's true, yeah. But even, we lost Matt Cullen, and he was our fourth-line center. He scored 13 goals as a fourth-line center, and that's just, especially knowing the fourth lines are generally the more broody, enforcer type of line. To have him be that offensively effective on the fourth line just shows how, at how much depth the Penguins did have last year.
Yeah, any more gushing about that, I'll break up with you.
I'm done with this topic.
If there's ever a time for a comet to strike Earth, I want it to happen right as they're about to three-peat. That's when I want that to happen.
That is perfect. This is the team that at the draft said, well, we haven't been playing our brand of hockey, so we need to trade for Ryan Reeves.
Who is good at hockey, apparently.
After you just won back-to-back cups. Yeah. They need to get back to their style of hockey.
I can't defend that.
So let's move on. Ryan, how about you pick this category? We've used baseball towns. We've done ornithology.
You got 2, and I see which one you're avoiding, but that's fine.
How about we go with fashion, which is something I know nothing about. But let's go ahead and do that. I'm definitely feeling it.
I'm of a mind that everyone knows something about fashion. All right. This one's deeply personal. So circa 2015, I was like, oh man, Tampa Bay, those jerseys are sweet. Whoo. ooh, I see the bandwagon heating up. Oh man, this team is super good. Who are these triplets? I almost went all in on a lot of fashion purchases, a lot of Tampa Bay gear, and I'm a little bit glad based on the season that I didn't. So, is this a year coming into 2017 where I can double down on the Lightning? I did take a sneak peek at the NHL store. I told you guys before, and you got a little Stamkos excitement.
Yeah.
Right? He's still good. He's still wonderful and like young and nubile and gonna kill the league, right?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Lightning gear. Can I?
Will
Is it
Elena's
smart?
investment pay off?
Get all the Lightning gear. All of the Lightning gear.
Write it down, sir.
Go to the NHL store.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really all I'm here for. I, obviously have the Patrice Bergeron jersey because
You're very
that's-
Atlantic Division right now.
Yeah. Hello, hi.
There's no wrong time to wear a Patrice Bergeron jersey.
No, exactly. That's my cousin. It's not my cousin. In my head, I'm sort of like the child of Patrice Bergeron and Mary J. Blige circa 1996. So that's why this works.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Uh-huh. Any answers for
Katie's
me?
writing a lot of words.
Spend the whole check on Tampa Bay gear or
Was
no.
I not
can flip,
supposed
we
to
can
flip? Oh. I wrote a paragraph. I was a premature flipper.
Jerseys are good. The Lightning, I'm going to skip that one. Satchel, you seem to have the most hockey reason behind this disability. What trade?
Yeah, well, I figure you'd want them to be good, and so, and they're extremely top heavy.
Yeah.
So like they have like 5 players that are like Kucherov, Stamkos, Hedman. But like if Hedman goes down, their defense is going to be like a total disaster because that means like Dan Girardi probably goes on the top pairing, and Ranger fans can attest to how
slowly
that
rip
can
them.
attest to how that yeah.
Well, that's what happens is that Ranger players get kind of old and they move to Florida. And so, like, maybe I'm making sort of like a cool
pre-retirement phase of
Yeah. It's like resort wear swag. So I'm here for that. But, like, Tyler Johnson, we got a hype thing. Can I effectively talk a lot of smack in a Tyler Johnson hockey sweater?
Sure.
Ryan, what are your thoughts?
They're a super fun team. Like, they're really young. I mean, I don't know. They have a lot of skill, and their elite players are elite. Very, very good. Kucherov is a monster. I love him, and I think he's terrific, and he's good at hockey.
He's still really
And-
young.
Yeah, and how old is he now? What is he, like 24? Yeah, he's like, he's still, and I know in the SB Nation's top 25 under 25, he was like way up on the list. And so just seeing, and then they have this new kid coming up, Sergachev, and he is legit. And they got him from Montreal in the Drouin trade, and it stinks that they lost Drouin because he's so much fun to watch. But if you like defense, Sergachev is who you want to be pulling for because he is fun, he's good, and he's young, and that's a guy I'd be pulling for if I like the Tampa Bay Lightning.
So, like, I can get rid of my Nikolai Habibulin jersey then.
Can you spell Hobby Bullen?
Let's try it.
All right, go for it.
K-H-A-B-I-B-U-L-I-N.
Hobby Bullen. I think you nailed it. Did she get it? Did she get it? Maybe wrong. I don't know how to spell it, so it's kind of. But
She right?
I think you nailed it.
Again, we specialize in games with no stakes here at SB. That's where we're going.
So,
That
well-
leaves one more.
One category left: human resources. And which team will benefit the most from their off-season moves? The Vegas Golden Knights. I mean,
An expansion draft.
Yeah, they have an entire team of moves. So we'll see what happens there.
Travis, humor me. What is the biggest offseason move in your opinion?
ooh, that's a dependent on.
You made me spell Hobby Bulin,
That's fair.
so
I think that the most interesting one to me is Panarin going to Columbus.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see how that works out. I'm really curious to see what Columbus is because I think they were weird last year. But yeah, I mean, in terms of moves that I think are going to be interesting to follow all season long, I really like him going to Columbus.
what do our panel of experts think?
Let's find out.
We flipping?
Flipping.
Yeah. Dude, nobody agreed with you, so
No.
good job, expert.
Well, we have 3 Carolina Hurricanes on there. So, Mary, what is your thinking there?
So the Hurricanes, they added Justin Williams, and I think, he's called Mr. Game 7 for a reason. He's clutch. They know that he can produce points when things are on the line. And they got Scott Darling from the Chicago Blackhawks as their backup. So, I mean, I think that they made a lot of like really, really solid moves to get them into a position where they can make a playoff push. I think that they've got a lot of really good young defensemen and that they'll be able to make the push into the playoffs because, like, I mean, they've just been stockpiling for a while. So I think it's only a matter of time for them to just be able to make it to the next step. And I think that's why that they're going to be a lot better.
They do feel like a team that's ready to make it.
Yeah.
For me, it's you know, the Metropolitan Division is pretty deep, and you know, there are some teams like that. But since you're in the Metropolitan Division and you have the Canes as well, Caitlin, what are your thoughts there?
They kind of just will backpack off of what Mary said. I mean, Scott Darling is a great addition. He was a really, really good backup goaltender for the Blackhawks, and his talent is bar none a starter sort of skill set. And then when it comes to Justin Williams, he won the cup with them in, what was it, 2006? I think it was something like
sounds right.
that.
Yeah, sounds right.
So I mean, to add him in the offseason and have him back, especially in a city where they know him and he's won there, I think he'll thrive.
And I would just say, like, Marcus Kruger kind of goes under the radar as an addition for them.
He does.
But, like, because they had, like, one of the best penalty kills in the game last season. Nobody gave up fewer shots per 60 minutes on the penalty kill. But they had Jay McClement put a lot of minutes on the PK for them, and he was horrible. And so, like, they had an amazing penalty kill even with McClement. So now you're taking out McClement, you're putting in Marcus Kruger, who's one of the best shutdown centers in the whole game. So they're probably going to have an incredible penalty kill again. And so that's a really good foundation for them to take a big step forward.
To play super physically, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can kill this off. Gotcha. St. Louis, why?
I knew everyone else was going to say the Canes, so I didn't want to do that. But St. Louis, so they added Braden Shen in the offseason, who I've watched a lot of. He's a really good complement, I think, to Tarasenko. If you're looking for someone who's going to put the puck in the net, it's going to be Braden Shen. So I think that he adds a lot to their offense, and definitely more than Yori Laterra did. And he is a power play specialist. So I think that they are already a good team, and I think that they've added a really strong piece that could hopefully get them over the edge.
And hey, they lost Ryan Reeves too.
And they lost Ryan Reeves, so that's addition by subtraction.
Exactly.
And might be signing Yager. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Which needs to happen.
Yeah, it does.
I want to ask a question, Dallas Stars back there. Like, what?
Is that an okay star? That's an ugly star.
It's not really.
It's a bad
It's not even
I tried to, whatever, it's okay. I failed that class. So basically, sometimes the best additions are you just need that one piece. And I think that they got that one piece in Ben Bishop. I think he is going to be the guy to make Dallas the team that everyone has been thinking that they could be for the last few years.
years, right?
They have such elite talent. Everyone knows about Jamie Benn, everyone knows about Tyler Seguin, and I think it'll be really, really fun to see what they can do with a goalie who isn't absolute, total, complete trash. Antoniemi, not very good. Kari Lehtinen, worse. And so now we have this guy who's, what is he, 6'7"?
Yeah,
he's a big dude.
He's big.
They got a big guy in net now, and he's got a very, very good track record with the Lightning. And last year was weird because he was with LA, and that was a weird situation. But I like that signing a lot, and I think that's what's going to kind of take them over the hill.
Miss you, Tyler. It's fine. I'm not a real Boston fan.
So that is the end of round one.
Yes.
I think we can all agree that the Pittsburgh Penguins lost that round.
Yes, they did.
Sorry. You know what they didn't?
Not sorry.
Okay.
Oh no.
Fine. So on to round two. Again,
round two.
no stakes here for our NHL preview because why?
So our four categories in round two: welcome freshmen, fossil fuels, don't pass, and fashion part two.
Oh, I'm shocked by that.
Fashion
I
part
really
two.
only had one fashion question for this whole shebang, so I'm curious to see what that one is.
All right. Who hasn't picked yet? I lost track.
Yep.
Kate.
I have not. Let's go with fossil fuels.
Okay.
Alex for 200.
Are the Oilers actually a team that could win the Stanley Cup? I believe
Oilers, fossil fuel.
the
Oh,
latest.
got it.
It's, whoever made these wasn't me.
You're fired.
one of the Vegas odds makers, I forget which one, had them ranked just below Pittsburgh in the odds to win the Stanley Cup. So I guess that's where this question comes from, and I'm curious about that. I mean, they were, they finished with more than 100 points last year, so they were a good team. Obviously, they have Connor McDavid, but let's see what our panel thinks.
Yep. I'm like, is Gretzky back? I haven't had to talk about the Oilers in a billion jillion years.
He's coaching again. Weird. Right?
Ah.
All right, flip. Let's flip him.
Ooh. Okay, I see a
McDavid.
lot. Yeah, I see a lot of Connor talk. Who has the strongest Connor take? Who loves him the most? Satchel,
Well,
you gonna fight?
That's where
I just feel like there's probably 20 teams that could win the Stanley Cup this year. So if you're at of course the Oilers could win the Stanley Cup. They have the best player in the league. I mean, it's kind of the right wing situation's kind of weird now because it looks like they might roll two 19-year-olds in their top 6 with Kyler, their first round pick this year, and Jesse Pulu. I don't know how to say it.
There we go. There we go.
I'll get used to it once.
Yeah, you only have to type it. You don't
Once
have
he
to
scores
say
like
it.
40 goals this year, I'll figure out how to say his name. Yeah.
Everybody should try. Bonus question: spell his name. No, I'm kidding.
Could probably spell it easier than I could
right.
pronounce it. Yeah.
J in there somewhere.
So McDavid is the best player in hockey, and you've got him with Leon Draisaitl, who is definitely top 5. I mean, they're a legit team. All of these #1 picks seem to finally be coming together. Maybe their management team is a tire fire, but they've got Connor McDavid. Like Connor McDavid alone will drag you to the playoffs. Like they've got a legit chance.
All right, so let's move on to the next question.
Yep.
The next category.
Do
I don't know.
we start at the beginning? We've been a little half-assed with letting people pick, so.
Who wants to pick?
Well, let's get a roto going. So we're gonna start here and go clockwise from now on. How about that? You got it.
Okay.
That's why you're in charge, Elena.
Yeah, let's go, Mary.
Mary.
All right. I was like, oh, you pointed at somebody. And
I'm
it was like,
sorry.
"Your
I'm
staff,
a pointer.
it's
It's
okay."
hella rude.
Let's go. Welcome, freshmen.
Ooh.
We're all freshmen at some
Welcome
point.
back. And welcome back, Cotter. I'm old. I'm
That
sorry.
should have been the category.
I know. Let me get the card right, though. Well, I'm busy saying, ooh, nice one. I like, this is a pretty standard, preview question, which, we tend not to do, but I like it. Who will win the Calder Trophy?
I don't know how to spell it.
I forget who I said.
So it could be, we have the top 2 overall picks who look like they're both going to make their teams out of camp. That would obviously be
that a
one
person?
of the easier guesses, folks. You could go off the board a little bit, but Nico Hischier in
Yeah, how
New
do you
Jersey.
spell that?
I believe it's
I think it might be this.
I'm not going to offer any suggestions because
think
it's
you
not
got
my
it.
favorite of
This
the
one?
hockey trophies. I
Yeah.
am
That's
a
right.
Vezina
Yeah, there
fan.
we go.
So
I like the Vezina. Not a Lady Binks fan?
Cheating in
Lady
class.
Binks can It's on my jam.
Thank you.
So.
Yeah. All right, let's flip them.
Gotcha. We are not taking points off for spelling, so that is fine.
Spelled it right.
Hey.
Yeah, so let's start. I guess we'll start with Clayton Keller, Arizona. Tell me why, Satchel.
Yeah, so he was, I think, the number 6 pick in 2015. Had a really, really good freshman year, and so that he's signed. He's Dylan Strome and Keller, the 2 big rookies for Arizona this year. Looks like they're both playing top 6. So Keller's probably going to have a chance to play with like Derek Stepan, who's a pretty solid #1 center. He's going to get opportunities to put up points, and realistically, points tends to drive who wins Calder. And so I think, Nico's obviously going to have an amazing opportunity, but if he's not on the same line as Taylor Hall, which it looks like he might not be, I'm not so convinced that he's going to end up putting up, 60 points or something. And so I think Keller's got a really good shot to.
That was really brave with the Nico chorus sitting immediately to your left. So, I like that.
geez.
Ryan, Nico thoughts.
Yeah.
I love Nico. I know a lot of people were trying to figure out who's going to go #1. Is it going to be Nolan or Nico? And I feel like, honestly, the Devils made the right pick in terms of what they need on their
For us, they did.
Exactly.
Flyers would have won either way. It's okay.
He's a flashy guy, and Nolan plays a really good 2-way game. He plays good defensively. He's physical. He's a big guy. He can score. He can pass. But Nico is a guy who is going to put up a lot of goals. He's going to score lots of points, and he's going to be a fiery guy to have on the in the offensive zone. So I don't know. I think he's the kind of guy that's going to win the Calder just because it is a point-driven award. And so I think he's in the right place. And plus, he's been dominating in preseason. He's been doing really, really well. And so I think he's going to carry that over into the regular season.
Yeah, the Devils are going to rely on him a lot, too, because Travis Zajac is out. So he's definitely going to get the minutes. I think at least Nolan Patrick, like, is going to be on the Flyers roster, but like, it just, what's his role going to be, essentially? I think that, like, Nico Hischier is going to have, like, the bigger role and the bigger chance to put up points. And exactly, he's been lighting it up in the preseason. And we knew that. We knew that Nico Hischier was going to be the flashier, goal-scoring guy. So I think, yeah, it's a points-driven award. So I think that Nico's going to get it at the end of the day.
Yeah, as the two teams that won the draft lottery, Nico is definitely put in the position where the Devils needed him. Like, they needed him a lot more than the Flyers needed Patrick, and the Flyers needed Patrick really badly too. But the Devils have been struggling for a couple years, so he's definitely going to be in the position to succeed in New Jersey. Nolan Patrick is a really great player, and he's going to have a long career in Philadelphia. But if there's a rookie that I think will surpass him on the Flyers in Calder voting, I think it's going to be Oscar Lindblom. I think that he's going to be the stronger pick from the Flyers. I mean, my answer was Clayton Keller, because I just really love what they're building in Arizona. And I think that, I just think that he's going to be incredible down there.
Poor Colorado. They tried so hard to get either Nico or Nolan, and they didn't do it. Well, they couldn't even tank correctly.
You know, I feel really bad for the Golden Knights. Like, imagine paying all this money to bring a team to the league and then not even getting guaranteed a top 3 pick. Like, I couldn't. I would riot. Like,
Cody Glass is pretty good, right?
Not good.
Because New Jersey and Philadelphia both moved up, they had to, you know, they were one of the teams that was a victim of that, unfortunately. For them. But I'm from Philly, so.
Yeah, point goes to Nico's squad because of that. But that means that poor Purple Heart Satchel over here, you get to pick next.
Oh, boy. Don't pass.
Don't pass. Speaking of the Golden Knights, will they finish over or under 26.5 wins? So there's no push here. Vegas rules. I mean, we're talking about gambling, so the Colorado Avalanche were historically bad last year. They finished with 22 wins. So 26 is low.
Yep.
Let's flip them and see what you guys think.
Why 26.5 though? Do you think that that's like that would represent like a good entry into the market? Like, this is your first year at 26.5. Would constitute a success?
What's the math there? I mean, you're losing probably 40 games depending on how many you tie or lose in a shootout or tie. But you know, losing a shootout. I think that. I think that, you know, if that would be low. Under would be low, right? I mean, that's not a good season, of course.
I think a low win total would be good, because they need the number one pick.
Well, flip your board and explain.
Well, I picked over. I mean, I think they're going to win enough games, but like, ideally they should be pretty terrible, like, for their own like strategic sake, like. They need to get, like, Rasputin or whatever.
I kind of disagree with that. Like, I understand the thought process behind it, that they desperately need talent, but I think that they also need their first season to be a success. Like, they need people to show up. They need to be competitive.
It's definitely a balancing act that the Vegas Golden Knights need to do. They need to be bad enough to be able to build up a stock of talent, but good enough to be able to bring in the support and bring in the hype. I said over because the 26.5 is, you know, it's really low. I mean, the Avalanche last year were really bad, but a lot of things went really wrong there. And I don't think, with the way the Golden Knights are set up, I don't think that they could be that bad unless things go horribly wrong.
Well, who's going to lead them there? And I'm curious to hear from Ryan.
Well, see, here's the thing. I feel like people are kind of, and you mentioned this stuff, they're playing for a lot more than just the first pick. They're trying to make it proven that, oh yeah, like, you know, Vegas isn't you don't think of it as a hockey market, but you know what, we're going to make it work. And the way people are treating it over there, they love the team. When I went over there in April, I saw Golden Knights stickers, shirts, jersey. Well, not jerseys because they hadn't been released yet, but I saw it everywhere. And people were so excited. And I think it's warranted because I think they're building something really, really cool and neat over there. Yeah. And in terms of player personnel, I think the guys who are going to really kind of push them towards winning games are going to be a guy who technically isn't a rookie, but he might as well be. His name is Vadim Shipashov, and he is a Russian guy coming from the KHL, and he can dish the puck to people like no one I've ever seen.
Vadim Shipashov. That's fun to say.
Spell that. Spell that.
No, not yet. I'm not going to act like
We really should have just done a spelling bee.
Yeah, SB Nation spelling bee.
But yeah, it's like, you know, I think I'm probably at the point based on what you guys just said. If they win under 30 games this first year, everybody's just going to go see J-Lo's show. So
That's true. Could go see J-Lo's show anyway.
Yeah, you should just go regardless.
Go see both.
Why not both?
And
Shall
they've
we move
got
on?
glitter jerseys. Like, I just can't.
Actually, briefly, I do want to hear why you're a Golden Knights fan.
So basically, I've always grown up loving the desert for whatever reason. We used to go over to Arizona. We used to go to Vegas a lot when I was younger. And so for whatever reason, when I found out, you know, that they were going to be getting a team, I was like, well, I mean, this is my team now. And
you used to go on Vegas trips like as like family trips?
yeah, so when I was younger, we would go and I would just walk around the casinos looking at stuff and being, oh my God, look at that. And I was too
hang out with
young
your
to do
parents.
anything. Yeah.
Are you allowed to go in?
Yeah, you got to keep moving. If you're like under 18, you have to like keep moving, or else they're gonna think you're gambling.
There's a lot to do in Vegas, though. Like, they've got the aquarium
Yeah.
and
That's
what I hear.
like a little zoo. There's
And that's the thing.
Not know there was a Vegas aquarium.
Yeah.
The more you know.
We'll go there next time.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, for a hockey trip, everybody should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one more category left, right?
Yep.
Fashion part 2.
Ready?
Oh yeah, you can do it.
Why do I get all the fashion questions? Oh, this one is fun because it is from Twitter, from @books_latte, which I don't know how to make a book latte. That's weird. What hockey teams are due for a new jersey? Ryan, you're automatically excluded from this question, or you can't say your team, so you can write whoever you want now. What do you think? I personally feel like the Devils. I'm sort of over it. I need to do something with that.
Yeah, I wish the Devils, they had the opportunity with the Adidas jerseys this year to bring back the green, and they didn't, and I don't know why they didn't do that. Nashville's new jerseys are ugly.
They're
were better
garbage.
Yeah, but people are going to buy those regardless
Very true.
because
Very true.
whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the new Adidas looks are growing on me.
Yep.
But, you know, I think that Nashville's one that sticks out. Calgary is like, they have the classic retro jersey that is awesome. Their third jersey, which I guess they don't have this season anymore. You know, their jerseys are, I'm not a big fan of Calgary's look. And the Washington Capitals are a team that I think should go back to their older style.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Let's flip them.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's pretty overwhelming. I didn't realize that was going to be the sentiment, but Duck Squad, it's 3 out of 5 people here are like, Ducks, what are you doing? So, Mary, tell me why.
Well, okay, the Mighty Ducks have great jerseys. The purple one's fantastic. And I don't know why the Anaheim Ducks went to that weird black, orange, white, and gold. Like, it doesn't look good. It's weird, and I really, really don't like it. So I really wanted them to go back to the old, like, purple, fun Mighty Duck stuff. But no, they won't do it, despite how much I love it so much. It's just, it's really ugly. Like, I don't, no offense, Ducks fans. I don't know. It's just a weird combination of colors that I don't think looks good. Like a primary black jersey with all that. The gold and the orange. It's just like a weird color combination.
They're the worst jerseys in the league.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you agree.
I feel like they're trying to be more professional. They got out of like the whole like, oh, we're fun, we're new, stage. And now they're like, all right, let's be serious.
We're not Disney anymore, right?
Yeah.
This is a sport.
This isn't Disney,
We need to be
guys.
serious here, guys.
Yeah, but I'm like, why would you want to be serious? And like, there's no like community reason to choose those colors. You know what I mean? There's nothing about Anaheim that in the popular imagination you're like black, orange. Like what? I don't get
Does
it.
Anaheim have any actual cultural relevance?
Disneyland is there. Disneyland is there.
Exactly.
Plus the logo. Have you seen the logo? It's awful. It's a duck foot.
It's a D.
It is a webbed.
It's a duck foot.
Shaped like a D, yeah.
And it's like this gross brownish. It's not even gold. It's like this dirt vomit colored.
We love you, Anaheim, I swear.
And then you get this.
We're getting people excited about this season.
Oh, right.
They're trying to fix the mistake they made by having this new alternate where they have the orange jersey and the old Ducks logo. And that's even worse. That's the worst jersey I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And so I'm just like, you know what? How about you just go back to what you already had because it was awesome and it was fun and great. And get rid of what you have now, which is awful.
Since Travis hit the Capitals question, I want to ask about this Islanders situation. Just because, like, they keep bouncing back and forth between ends of Long Island. You're just kind of like, I don't know what your identity
Are we
is.
allowed to say that Brooklyn is Long Island?
Yeah.
I mean, it is on the island.
It's
Right?
on
Do
the
people
Long
who live in
Island.
Brooklyn, are they going to get mad about that?
Probably, but they get
Let's
mad
look
about
at the comments.
everything.
What is Twitter saying?
People in Brooklyn get mad about
Pretty much everything.
So, I don't know what's going on with the Islanders, where they're going to play next season. They don't know where they're playing next season. Just stop. Like, stop this experiment. I understand there's a lot of history there, but get out. Like, go somewhere else.
Where do you think they should
Seattle.
Go? Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care whether they play as long as there's not a van in like the one end of the arena. You know what I mean?
The car.
What a nightmare that stadium is with the sight lines that are half obstructed, and they've got just this car hanging out, the SUV. It's a nightmare. The jerseys are what we're talking about. I think that the blue and the orange together, just the shades that they have are not good together, and the logo.
So do you prefer the Oilers blue and
I
orange?
do, the darker
Okay.
blue.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it sounds like they got higher priorities, though.
There's a lot.
They're down on the list.
Yeah, that's why. And a new city.
Gotcha. That brings us to a close for round two. I'm glad we got the really important thing settled there.
Who won this round?
It was like,
There are no
that
winners.
That was all free for you.
We've declared that Steph has won before the show.
Steph is the winner.
Unanimously voted for Steph. Yeah,
So, shall we move on to round three?
Ooh.
Our categories are rings. Hopefully, it's not a Penguins question again. Country and Western, stages of grief. That might be a Penguins question. And man versus nature.
I'm curious about man versus nature
Yeah.
there, because I'm like, is this like a fight to the death? Aren't we all fighting man versus nature in general every single day of this life? Sorry, I got a little
Wow, that was
deep.
deep.
That was deep. Yes.
Can I pick?
Yeah.
I haven't picked yet. As a Flyers fan, I would like to pick stages of grief, please.
And as a Flyers fan, I will read the question.
Awesome.
This is
Is it going to hit home?
not for you and I, but for nobody in the room, actually.
Good.
Maybe. Anyway, is it time to accept that Alex Ovechkin will never be a champion?
I don't like this question.
It's hitting home. It's hitting home.
I have a lot of feels about this, but mostly like this is a thing that like I feel like I had to come to some adulthood this past playoffs because as you guys brought up earlier, I mean, if it wasn't now, when is it gonna be?
Right. I mean, those two, the Capitals teams of the last 2 years were easily the best teams in the league.
Right.
And, that's just hockey, that you don't win a Stanley Cup with those teams. Everybody kind of viewed it as a 2-year window for them to win. But, maybe this is a year where, and I'm sure we'll get into it here, that they can sneak up on somebody.
Yeah, it's
So,
like they had the
felt right.
goaltending. TJ Oshie
That
was
one.
amazing. So there was support around Oshie. And I know he got hurt, but I'm also like,
Still
but
doesn't
is
count.
I got a lot of agita. What do you guys think? Please help me feel good about myself. Oh, see, you're just mean. You're just mean. Absolutely not, is what my girl over here.
Well, it says, is it time to give up? I said, right.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
is it
it's like a weird,
is it
like,
time
not.
to accept
Oh,
that Ovi won't ever be a champion?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Tell me why. Give me hope.
Because if we give up hope,
Yes.
they're like the real roadblock from keeping the Penguins from three-peating. Like,
Are they?
well, apparently also the Ottawa Senators. But you've got they're such a strong team, and he is an incredible talent. If he doesn't win in Washington, he will win somewhere else. Like this, it's way too early to give up on him. He's early 30s, 30, 31, maybe.
Something like that.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Can I piggyback?
Yeah.
He has what, 5 years or so?
His contract ends in 2021. Yeah.
And he'll be, if he's 31 now, he'll be he'll be 36, pushing 40. The only way he can become a champion is if it's not in the NHL, like if he does it in the Olympics, if that ever happens, or if he gets a new team. Like he will not be a champion in Washington because Washington is just historically known for getting in its own way, even when they have the best pieces possible.
Is that a political joke?
Well, now it is.
Because he looks like he's got something to say, not because we're trying to flip it out of politics.
But yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that Ovechkin he's one of the best players in the league, obviously, and he has been for years. But it's evident that even with his talent and with a bunch of talent surrounding him, like there was last year, they still can't win. And I really think that he needs a change of pace. He needs a new setting. He needs to start fresh because he does have the skills to become a champion. He just, for some reason, can't do it in Washington.
I think Travis had a good point, though, that, like, it seems as if the pressure is off this year, kind of, for the Capitals. Last year, they came into the season with, like, their best roster in years. Like, many people were picking the Capitals. I mean, myself included, but, like, it seems like they were destined almost for it.
I might disagree with that.
Really?
Because if Ovechkin can't go to the Olympics and, he's being pulled back by the NHL and, like, Ted Leonsis has, expressed his support and Ovechkin has a great relationship with his owner, then he's doing it for that team, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Satchel, you look like you had something to say.
He's a champion in my heart. I don't really care if he wins a Stanley Cup or not. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. I think it sucks that like this conversation gets like framed this way just because like he probably won't. Like, there's a decent chance he will never win a Stanley Cup at this point. But like he's also had like one of the greatest 12-year runs as a scorer in the history of hockey, and so like he'll be okay.
You
I think
guys, you're my sports.
I'm
Well,
very
he
proud.
also doesn't have to be the Alex Ovechkin that we know today
Exactly.
to win a cup and to be a champion. Like he could be.
Well, when his cap hits like $10 million, he kind of does.
Well,
Like,
let's talk about after his next.
Yeah.
I mean, after his next contract, like he could just go. He could pull a team in it. And
I was
just
about to
go-
say,
Yeah,
he
you
could have a
can
chemo team in a situation where
go to
he
where
goes somewhere.
he's
And
gonna win.
let's think about this for a second. He's, like you said, he's what, 31, 32 years old, something like that. He's still one of the elite players in the league. In my personal opinion, some might agree, I don't know. But I think he's the third best player on the Caps right now because Backstrom is unbelievable, and he's in his prime. And then you have Holtby, who's a Vezina winner. How valuable is he now to this team? Do you think that they trade him somewhere? Someone would take him. Someone's going to take him.
I don't think right now.
Also, Ted Leonsis likes money, like all NHL owners do, and you walk around DC and everybody has an Ovi jersey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he puts people in the seats there.
It's true.
I don't think right now, but I think it's very possible that he does
possible.
get
Yeah,
chemo
at some
treatment,
point.
Essentially,
Yeah.
like he gets traded at the deadline to a contender and then sails off into the sunset
Yeah.
as you
But-
want, as we wish.
Exactly.
I can't handle if Ovi has like a Ray Bork moment in an Avs jersey. Like I don't know if I can like deal with that.
Ovi's going to win the Stanley Cup for the Vegas Golden Knights in
There
5
it is.
years.
Well,
There it is.
And it'll still
take.
happen before the Philadelphia Flyers.
It's a take, Travis.
oh, now we're fighting.
I completely lost track.
We were going in a clockwise.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Mary-
because I went through.
Oh,
things.
it doesn't. I picked a couple of times. It doesn't matter.
We're doing a bang up job
Okay,
here.
how about I pick?
Okay, go for it.
Let's get rings out of the way, huh?
Okay. Ooh, pivoting off the Ovi conversation, do you think the NHL made the right call the Olympics? Because we all know guys are
I
not
planned
going.
That's why I picked this category,
Oh,
by
you
the way.
did. Thank you.
You're
a smart host.
I think that, I mean, we all have Olympics opinions. Piggybacking on the Ovi question, though, this is going to be the year where Russia wins. He wins the gold medal, and Ovi's not going to be able to be on the team, and he's not going to be a champion again. And that's it's the same conversation we just had.
But it's crazy to think about that because of how adamant Ovechkin has been over his career, like since he came into the league, about playing for Mother Russia. And given the way that they finished in previous Olympics, you gotta imagine that this hurts. But like suddenly, within the past month or so, I think it was the end of August where he came out and said, all right, I'm cool with whatever they decide. I'm like, who are you?
The statement that the Capitals released was from him, and it was like on like Washington Capitals press release like form, and it was like had typos in it and everything. Like clearly he wrote it, and they were just like, all right, from the heart, we're gonna let this go. And it was a great statement, and it really showed his disappointment in the league. But let's flip and get into. Yep.
Ooh, yeah, bad decision, no.
Caitlin, yes, but I don't like why.
I read some upspeak into that, yes. It's more like, yes?
Okay, yeah. I actually, my first opinion on it was that it wasn't a good decision because it's the Olympics, and the Olympics are fun, and hockey's fun, and them both together is even more fun. But Satchel actually made a good point earlier. He mentioned that like they did it because of money. I mean, it's always because of money. And the IOC isn't going to be giving a cut of any of the money that they make if they were to use NHL players to the NHL. Like there's no sponsorship, there's no, I guess, cut that they'll get money-wise. So yes, but I don't like it because it's about money, And I mean, to be fair, it is in South Korea. It's going to be in South Korea, I believe. And there really isn't a big hockey, following there. But there could be if, you put the best players in, that sort of situation. But then again, if you're not going to give the NHL a cut for using their players, then
take time off during the regular season. 2 weeks, players can get hurt. The insurance issue. Satchel, I think you have a similar take.
Yeah, as a fan, like you want to watch the best players in the Olympics. Like that's a missed opportunity as a fan, just for like good entertainment. But I also understand how the wheels of capitalism move, and the NHL is going to do what it thinks is best for its business, and that's clearly what they're doing here. Yeah. And so I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah. I'm interested that you said that, Mary, because I'm just like, Malkin, if you were to go in the middle of your season, you'd be cool with that?
That's true. I mean, it's very give and take. I mean, it'd be cool to see him in the Olympics because the Olympics only happen every 4 years. So it would suck, to be honest, to lose him in a stage where they'll probably in the playoffs making a push, and he's a big cog because he's one of the second best centermen because we don't have any centers other than him and Crosby. So. Yeah, it would suck, but at the same time, it is the Olympics, and they're great.
I wonder if it puts a different emphasis on women's hockey in these Olympics.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they're going to be the stars.
I'm going to be watching the women's more than I'm going to be the men's.
Yeah.
And
that was true in Sochi as well.
Yeah. And Team USA for the women's team is so incredible. They have the top talent, and they're so good. And that USA-Canada rivalry is so much deeper, it feels, in this day and age.
It feels like there's like a personal hate.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
It
seems like.
Right.
In a way, this feels like poetic justice as well, because now they're getting the spotlight, the women are, and this is all coming after that whole thing going on where they weren't getting barely any money at all for what they were doing. They're finally getting paid, and now they're going to be on the biggest stage, and really they're going to be getting the spotlight. It's not going to be, the amateur men players. It's going to be the women, and that's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, like there might be some place where you could follow that. I don't know.
TheIceGarden.com, SB Nation's women's hockey site.
I've got like seven reasons why this is just really bad for hockey. For NHL players not going to the Olympics. So the teams that are
your top three though.
I will. I'll give you my top three. So the teams that are really going to hurt the most are Team USA and Team Canada, which that's probably the biggest rivalry that you're going to get. So Sweden will have pros playing, Russia will have pros playing, Finland will have pros playing, but not Canada and the United States. And those teams are going to suffer. So that's one. Two is Team USA actually could have had a shot this year. And it's
if the management didn't screw it up.
Yeah.
If management got any better, which they probably didn't, but you can't not put Austin Matthews on an Olympic team. And Jack Eichel, Shane Gostisbehere, like there's so many. There's so many.
Missing you, Team North America.
American.
Missing you so much.
Oh my God.
Not to mention Kessel.
Phil Kessel, yeah.
True, Phil Kessel, but missing you, Team USA.
The only time that I can cheer for Phil Kessel and it'd be okay. It's like we could have made a push for a medal this year. And the third is that the league always seems to stand in its own way of growing the sport. Like the Olympics is when people are going to watch, and if you're not going to the Olympics, then they're getting a substandard product, and it's just not as fun. And it's all for money. And you know that they're going to go to the next Olympics, which is in China, because they're trying to grow the game there. But it blows my mind how they just can't get it together to say, no, we don't really care about growing the sport.
Did anybody watch those 2 preseason games in China?
Nope.
No.
I wasn't awake at 3 a.m.
Nope.
I honestly forgot all about them until the recaps were up.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't know about them until before the show.
So 2 more categories left. We have country and western and man versus nature. I think we're on. I don't know where we are.
I'll
go.
Yeah, Mary got slammed because the last time
I only
it was
asked
just a
one.
fashion question, so you get to pick
I'll
this
go.
time.
Let's go with country and western. Ooh,
Country and western.
because it's fun.
Oh, it's me. I see what you did there. Country and Western. Who should be the next famous Preds fan? We saw throughout the playoff run and the catfish tossing a lot of people cycling through that arena.
Just rolling them out every game.
Yeah. Obviously, Carrie Underwood.
Right,
Hi, good
right,
morning.
Right. Who else did they have?
Tim McGraw.
That's what I was
Tim
trying
McGraw.
to think.
Faith
Who are
Hill. Faith Hill.
already?
Yeah, Faith Hill, I
Nicole
remember that one.
Kidman.
Nicole Kidman, who is apparently has a house in Nashville, I think.
Yeah, she's married to Keith Urban.
Right.
Country megastar. Duh.
I don't know.
Dirk Bentley.
Thing about country music, but
Do you remember Dirk Bentley's national anthem that made me want to just move out because it was treasonous and awful?
Okay, you are not allowed to slander Dirks Bentley on my watch, okay? I won't hear it, okay? Plus, he actually plays hockey, so that's
That's true.
But even if you want to go outside of the country and western spectrum, maybe, is there literally anybody in Nashville who is a celebrity who hasn't already appeared at that
That's a good
arena?
point. This question doesn't have to be somebody from Nashville either.
True.
So let's see what you guys think.
Okay. There's strong thoughts here. I'm gonna start with Mary because I like both of these.
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of Paramore, and of course, they're from Tennessee, so they have showed up at a Preds game before, but they weren't as like heavily like featured as some of the other ones were. But I love them, so it'd be great to see them, and they look good in yellow too, so why not? And Dolly Parton, I was really hoping that she would come out and sing the national anthem during the Stanley Cup final, but that didn't happen, and my dreams were crushed. But it'd be great to see her come out with a Preds jersey. I think it'd be really nice.
Yeah, it'd be a tight one. But
I think we can make it work.
Gotcha. I'll go Miley. Why Miley?
I had to look up famous people who live in Nashville. I don't really keep up with pop culture that much. I watch too much hockey to do that. So Miley Cyrus apparently lives in Nashville.
It is a #1 Google hit.
And she's on Wikipedia. Like, I just think that'd be fun.
Is that Simon Cowell I see back there?
Yeah. He has no relation to hockey at all. He's from Australia? Isn't that where he's from?
Definitely British.
No, I really have no idea what I'm talking about. But I feel like he'd be really fun to once you get a couple beers in him and he's at a hockey game, he would do some silly things. So that's basically. Oh, and he would definitely throw a catfish. He would throw a catfish onto the ice. I can guarantee you he would.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Jeremy Wade, he's the guy from River Monsters. So it's just, it's just on brand. They can have him throw out a catfish. Just the River Monsters guy. It's great.
That was a lot of thought you put into that.
I'm proud of this answer.
And of course.
I mean, it's Britney. It would be so much fun.
Enough said.
She could, come out, do a show, and be fun and exciting, and why not? Britney Spears is awesome. I really didn't have another answer.
Is Britney
She's
still
got a
performing
residency
in
in Vegas.
Right,
so
yeah. So
maybe she'll be wearing a
There we
glitter
go.
jersey soon.
Brittany
Bring back
Jean Spears,
Britney.
Pride of Kentwood, Louisiana. I think
well,
it fits.
probably the closest team to Nashville, or Nashville would be the closest team to her hometown.
That was totally
Maybe Dallas.
why I
Yeah,
picked her.
maybe Dallas.
Yeah. In any event.
Gotcha.
One more question. One more category and one more question. Man versus nature. And it is a Twitter question from Psycho Saint 44. SYKO, Psycho, I don't know. Who makes the postseason? The Coyotes or the Hurricanes? Man versus nature. I get it.
I
get
got
it.
you. See,
Who wrote these?
no.
Who wrote these? Was it John
answer
Boyce?
for that. He's fired though.
You can't fire John Boyce.
No, if it was John Boyce, they'd just say, just say tools and just be a question about hammers if John Boyce came up for these.
I think it was Ryan Nanny.
Uh-huh.
It had to be Ryan Nanny.
He's fired.
Yeah, I think that's.
I had him yesterday read Dolly Parton. It's a long story. Coyotes or Hurricanes? What do y'all got?
Very, very good. Succinct answer, Steph.
We're gonna get to the yes last. Okay. I'm gonna go all Hurricanes first. Satchel, what do you got?
Yeah, so, they obviously added a lot of players this offseason. Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, they got some forwards that are like right on the cusp of breaking out. And, the division's super crowded, so that is probably, they could get way better and still miss the playoffs, and I think that's probably would be the most likely scenario, because I think there is no way they're not going to be way better. Mm-hmm. And then, Arizona's probably going to be able to beat up on Vegas and Vancouver a lot, but I just don't think they're going to be good enough to get up to fourth in the division.
Gotcha.
My favorite thing, I think that's happened recently, was Sebastian Aho came out and said, because we've been calling him Sebastian Aho forever, came out and said, well, actually, it's
Remember when Nicholas Grossman played in the league for 10 years and had one N?
Oh, it's like, oh, you're spelling
All of
my
a sudden,
name wrong.
I was like, oh, I got 2 N's in my name. It's no big deal.
That's very hockey.
Right?
That is very hockey.
It's
Yeah,
very
you don't want to bother anybody. They don't want to stand out.
Yeah.
Satchel, when you said his name, I was like, why are you saying Aho? Turns out I'm just stupid.
No, I think it just happened this offseason or something.
Coyotes counterpoint?
Yeah, I think the Coyotes are in a weak division, the Pacific Division. I mean, there are a couple good teams, but I don't think it's anything to be, too terribly afraid of if you're the Coyotes. And plus, they have the kids coming up, which is super fun. They're going to be a lot faster, and I think that they have the tools necessary to compete and really surprise some people this year.
Yeah,
So
I'm confused as to why there's so many people that say Hurricanes, knowing that the division is so much tougher. It's like, if, like you said, they're going to be better, but maybe still miss out. Why are you caring?
Just because of, like he said, the pieces that they added. I mean, I love what they're doing in Arizona. It is great for the future of their team, and it will benefit later down the line. But I think just because they're young, they need to really, get into games in the NHL, get that experience, see how it is. I mean, you made a good point about the division being pretty weak, and it is. Mm-hmm. Who's their goaltender right now?
Mike
Ranta.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was about to say Mike Smith. Yeah,
traded.
yeah, Ranta. And then they
Ranta.
have Domingue, I believe. As
Louis Domingue,
Yeah.
Domingue.
who wore an SB Nation logo on his helmet.
We're coming for you.
Nation Arizona, old school.
Well, I'm curious about the yes there. So you're just like both?
Yeah, I think both of them. So Arizona, for all of the points that they've mentioned, I thought that they were going to be really hurt by the loss of Jacob Chikrin. But he's apparently weeks away from skating again, so they're not actually going to miss him for as long as we thought. And they're going to have Clayton Keller. It's going to be a good team this year. And the Hurricanes, the Metro is really tough. So if they make it, and I think that they will, they're going to have to squeak in. I still think that they're better than New Jersey. I think that they're better than the Islanders. I think they're better than Columbus. They might be better than the Flyers. I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't know what the Flyers are going to look like. And Dave Hackstall is still the coach. So
It's a good point for Arizona. Their GM, whose name I just suddenly blanked on, is
John Chaika.
John Chaika, yeah. He has been so shrewd this offseason. It's incredible that he has been fleecing people left and right. And I think that his addition has been really, really solid to the team. I mean, I wrote that I think the Hurricanes will make it and the Coyotes will not, but I think the Coyotes will be a lot better this year. Yeah. I think they're going to surprise people at how, they won't make the playoffs, but they'll be there. They'll be competitive, which is going to be fun. I've missed wanting to see the Coyotes do well. It's going to be fun. It's going to make hockey fun in the desert, and I'm really excited for it.
Lots of desert hockey this year.
Apparently,
Yeah. Desert hockey.
I'm all in for that. Well, we got your exec of the year pick, obviously. I think before we get out of here, it's our duty to ask the question that people ask in this type of a situation where it's a preview show. Cup Finals. Who y'all got?
What, like team winning or like
Winners
just?
or-
What's the final pairing and who comes out on top?
I'm gonna do exactly
An
what.
impossible question this year.
Here we go.
Golden Knights versus Panthers.
Oh yeah.
Super duper here for that. I'm sorry. I don't want to see another Pittsburgh.
No, we've established that for sure. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if I've said that enough.
Steph will die. We don't want that.
Okay, that'll be it.
Yeah, I'm done with Pittsburgh. I still like Nashville.
Yep.
I've picked the last 2 seasons. I've picked Washington and Nashville, and I feel like I should just do that again. So
Yeah, one
sure,
of these
why
years
not?
you'll be right.
Right.
That's fine.
Just, if I do it every year forever, I'll get
One
it
day it'll be
time.
right.
I'm just gonna cheat off of you because, like I said, you're the expert, and I'll watch 10 games this year and look
10.
smart.
That's doubling your output from last year. Though, so I like that.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
I still see writing.
Almost done.
Here we go.
Oh, too bad.
Ooh,
Too bad. It's out there. It's on the internet.
Flip it.
It's on the internet.
I'm gonna go with the surer ones first, and Satchel, you're just slow.
It's impossible.
So we talked about the Lightning earlier, and I think that the addition of Steven Stamkos back into the lineup after being injured is really going to make them like complete. Like I really think that they're going to be so much better because they missed the playoffs last year. If they had Stamkos, they really would have made it. I don't remember how many points they were off the pace, and I said earlier that the Oilers are basically dependent on Cam Talbot's health. Like he played, I think 70 games. I want to say upwards of 70 games last year for them, and he was really good. So that's kind of like really depending on his health. But I really think Tampa Bay has the complete team. I mean, they lost Druin, but I really think that their offense is something special.
Go to NHL Startup Ball.
2 Maple Leafs on the board.
Yeah. I just went with what I want because they're both young teams and they're both fun, but like they also have the new superstars, and I think that this could be it. This could be the push, the beginning of seeing the Oilers and Maple Leafs forever. I think
you
that it's
imagine
going to be a
that?
dynasty for the
man,
next
it's coming.
10 years.
Matthews, McDavid.
Oh,
Just
I mean,
nonstop.
Canadian teams are not allowed to win the Stanley Cup, though. It's
Yes.
written into law. So,
Yeah.
The law.
Well,
sorry.
Ryan.
I am going to say what I go for. Me and Steph were talking about this before the show. Every year for the past like 20 years, I've been predicting the Stars and Penguins. It feels like 20 years. And I think this is the year that it's going to happen. And I said the Pens are going to lose because I don't want them to win. So
that's as valid a reason as any other.
And
right?
plus, I
I'm
like the
into your
Stars. I think they're
fandom.
good.
It's fine.
So, yeah.
The Pens are going back to the Stanley Cup final. Everyone can cry about it and tell me about how much they hate them, and I will just use it for firepower and to mock you later because that's what I've done
I'll
for the
be
past
dead.
2 years.
It's okay, Steph. I'll be right there with you.
The reason I didn't pick the Oilers is because of the Cam Talbot situation.
Sound like you're on Twitter right now.
I think that McDavid is so good that he makes everyone else not look as good, other than what's his face,
Draisaitl.
I think that yes, he's unbelievably good, but I don't think that he can be the only reason. Or I don't think that he can drag them all the way to the final, and that's why I have them losing in the Western Conference Finals. Like they'll probably end up losing. It'd be great if they don't, because McDavid in a Stanley Cup Final will be fun. But I just think that the Ducks are more solid all around.
The Ducks are boring.
I know they're boring, but
I
they're
think-
Boring.
A really fun little storyline would be Connor McDavid versus his own father, Brandon Manning.
Oh, God. I have never heard that narrative more than I hate that one. Oh, my God, I hate it so much. With any luck, Brandon Manning won't be on the Flyers this year.
If they go, that means Manning's on the Flyers, and that means the Flyers are not going to the Cup.
And everything is bad.
Yeah.
You know, one team we haven't talked about at all,
You didn't give Satchel his
Oh,
moment.
sorry, Satchel. I'm
It was
sorry,
like,
Satchel.
come be- yeah.
Wow, Travis.
Maple Leafs. That's, yeah. Yeah, the Maple Leafs are really deep. I think Matthews is ready to take a step forward. He's going to have a really big year. And, I mean, goaltending might be an issue. I don't know about Freddie Anderson being able to hold up for 4 rounds, but I'm really high on the Maple Leafs. I think they're going to be ridiculously fun to watch
So you
this year.
think they're going to come out on top?
Yeah, sure.
The Randy Carlisle Bowl, right?
Oh,
Ducks
Lord.
versus Leafs. One team we haven't mentioned at all, and it's this one. And like, I'm just gonna rip this down.
Yeah, please.
Oh.
Oh, well, all right.
Oh.
That just
Sorry,
felt good.
Rangers fans.
Rangers fans, that wasn't me. Please do not get in my mention.
It's a Lundqvist, too.
Oh,
That's
is
not
a
disrespectful.
I'm sorry. We're in New York City. I understand.
He's not sorry.
Disrespect.
Disrespect.
Take it up with at Travis Hughes.
No, it's actually Travos Hughes.
Travis at sbnation.com is my email address.
Right. Yeah, don't replay that. And now that we've had the hottest of hot takes on this whole entire show, I want to thank our esteemed panel for coming in and dropping their wisdom. It certainly has helped me decide a lot of different things about where I'll lean for this NHL season. And maybe some road trips, because it's like Edmonton's got some stuff to see, right?
Not in December, but
Okay,
otherwise,
that's
sure,
fine.
yeah. Maybe wait till the end of the season.
the arena's nice.
But for everybody that's sneaking a peek at this live show as they're, faking, trying to get through some reports on a Friday afternoon, thank you for being with us and joining us at SB Nation's 2017 NHL preview show presented by Xfinity Mobile. Travis, do you have any departing words for the good people out in SB Nation world writ large?
Go Flyers.
Yeah, that's fair. You said that already.
Yep. Just
All right.
making it clear.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. And buy some jerseys. I don't know.